Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Ghost. I'm from New York and this is going to be a comprehensive guide on the Slizzer roll. So I'm making this video because Slizzer roll is my favorite sound. I want to spread my love of the Slizzer roll to the rest of the beatboxing world, and hopefully this is a video that you could take something from, add it to your style, add it to your repertoire, your routines, and find new, unique ways to use the Slizzer roll. I think it's a much more versatile sound than people give it credit for, very underrated, and hopefully that's something that comes through in this video. So I'm going to go over 5 different things about the Slizzer roll. 1 is going to be how to do it. 2 is how to change the way your Slizzer roll sounds based on pressure, pitch, all of those things. 3 is the ghost roll, which is sort of a self-proclaimed name. It's not the official name for it, but it's basically where you're going to be combining the tongue bass with the Slizzer roll. How to do drums on top of the Slizzer roll in an easier way if you want to do like kind of drum beats faster, while integrating the Slizzer roll. And then the last thing I'm going to go over is the Slizzer roll snare. And as I go over these different things, I'm going to go over Slizzer roll beats in different genres, so you could see like different examples of how I use these Slizzer roll techniques throughout the video. So firstly, how do you do the Slizzer roll? There is not an easy explanation for this. This is not the most intuitive sound, but I can explain it in sucker punch terms. So if you know the sucker punch, this explanation will make sense. If you don't, I'm sorry. But basically, when you sucker punch, you know how the roof of your tongue, not the roof of your tongue, the tip of your tongue hits the roof of your mouth, right? When you do, and it's in that position for a little bit, right? What you want to do is you want to do a sucker punch to the side that you do all of your inward sounds. And you want to do it to that side specifically because it'll be stronger that way. So I'll do this sucker punch to the side of my mouth, like, and you'll notice where your tongue is. It's like behind your teeth. The tip of your tongue is touching the roof of your mouth to the side. And what you want to do is you want to breathe in and look for a flutter around your tongue. So it'll sound something like this. And if you're getting a flutter, even like just a little bit, that means you're getting this sound. What you want to do is you want to keep practicing it until you could get that flutter more consistent. And then once you're able to get it very consistently, like, you want to add more pressure as you breathe in. You want to breathe in more sharply, and then it'll go from that flutter to a full-fledged Slizzer roll that'll sound really powerful on the mic. Like, so that's kind of what you're going for, right? So how do you change the sound of your Slizzer roll? There's 2 ways. One is by changing the way you breathe in, and one is by changing the shape of your mouth. So by breathing in, very simple. If you breathe in more slowly, it'll be a softer, more airy Slizzer roll. And if you breathe in more sharply, it's going to be a more aggressive Slizzer roll, right? So if I do it softly, it'll sound like, and then if I go from soft to breathing in very sharply, it goes like that, right? So the second way is to change the shape of your mouth. So if I have my mouth open normally, it's going to have like a higher pitch Slizzer roll. So I'll show an example, right? So what I do is if I want to change the sound of the Slizzer roll to be like kind of like lower, kind of more frictiony, all I do is I pucker out my lips as if I'm going for like a sloppy kiss, and I'll change the sound of the Slizzer roll. So I'll show you an example of how it transitions, like, and you see there how the sound changes based on the way the shape of your mouth is. So going on to the next thing, the ghost roll, right? So one of the most important things about the sound is your tongue bass. You want to get it to be loud, you want it to be sharp, and you want it to be quick, as if you're expelling a bunch of air from your chest at once. So a good example of how this tongue bass would sound like is from Kim, the French beatboxer, shout out Sumo. He does this like very loud, very guttural tone bass. You want to go for something similar to that with your tone bass. So instead of going like a normal like, you want to go like, right? And it's very loud, and that's generally what works with the Slizzer roll to make it like a very powerful thing on mic, right? So the reason why the sound is important is you can do this sound on top of the Slizzer roll without interrupting the Slizzer roll. If you hold your tongue in place, if you return immediately to the Slizzer roll position, your Slizzer roll will not be interrupted if you do a tongue bass on sound of it, on top of it. So I'll show you an example. I'm gonna do a Slizzer roll, and then I'm gonna do a tongue bass on top of it, similar to the tongue bass I was just showing earlier. And if you have dry mouth, this is also a good technique because as soon as you do one of those tom basses, it'll like reset your Slizzer roll so that like the dry mouth doesn't affect it for a little bit. It's hard to explain, but you'll see what I mean if you're doing this sound a lot. And then this technique, basically, you just keep doing tom basses wherever you want in the Slizzer roll, and then you could do different genres with it. If I do it in hip hop, it sounds like a and if you do dubstep, it sounds like And another trick that I do is if you add an outward K on top of the tom bass part, it goes on to and that's also something that you can do on top of the Slizzer roll without interrupting it. It's the same principle. If you go directly back to the Slizzer roll afterwards, you will be able to maintain the Slizzer roll without interrupting it. So you could do like or you could do like a house beat, like and yeah, basically different ways of combining tom bass with the Slizzer roll, and you'll find basically a replacement for the click roll. The reason why I do it this way is because I was a big 2H fan, and I couldn't do the click roll. I got really pissed off, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna figure it out through the Slizzer roll, and that's how I ended up coming up with this. It's a replacement for the click roll, a different way of doing it. I consider it like a different kind of a click roll. And basically, like, yeah, I pretty much just learned it because I wanted to beatbox like 2H. So yeah, going on to the next thing. What if you want to do percussion on top of your Slizzer roll? What if you want to do like, and you're afraid that your Slizzer roll is going to be interrupted by those like outward sounds? So what you want to do is, if you're going to do those sort of like outward drums on top of a Slizzer roll, you want to make your Slizzer roll and tom bass more airy. You actually want to do it softer and with less pressure. So a good way to practice this is kind of like breathing in and out with the Slizzer roll as if you're taking like deep breaths, like and then once you master sort of that motion between the tom bass and the Slizzer roll, it becomes a lot more easy. It becomes a lot easier to control the motion of the Slizzer roll and the tom bass while you're doing drums. So I'll show an example with a kick and a snare beat in hip hop. So yeah, that's an example of that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is the Slizzer roll snare. So what I do is I use the Slizzer roll basically as a snare. An example beat of this is like you could do drill with this, like you could also do grind with this, like and yeah, those are examples of how you could use the Slizzer roll as a snare. It's another use for it. And the way I do this is, remember from before, I said that the shape of your mouth changes the way the Slizzer roll sounds. You want to get it to as frictiony and as like colliding of a texture as possible. So you want to pucker up your lips and bring your bottom lip up like, and if you're getting that, all you do is you add an inward K snare at the beginning and just cut it sharp. Do it very fast, like. And from there, you pretty much have the Slizzer roll snare. So yeah, those are different ways to use the Slizzer roll. Once again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'd be happy to answer them. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful in some sort of way. Yeah, I've been Ghost.